Where are you? The Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. My name is Heather Norris. I'm the president and CEO at the Ottawa Network for Education. We run the JA Ottawa program, and we are the charitable partner and recipient of this night's event, and we are grateful to be here with all of you. Not many people know the Ottawa Network for Education, but you probably know one or more of our programs, like the School Breakfast Program, JA, or Ottawa Reads. We fuel kids and ignite learning every school day. We work with the 4 public school boards in Ottawa. We offer programs in English and French. How do we do what we do? We have 7 programs run by a team of staff and supported by dedicated volunteers. All of our programs maneuvered successfully in and out of COVID and in and out of schools and classes. We run the school breakfast program in close to 200 schools, serving 13,500 meals every day. And during COVID, we created school breakfast replacement kits that we delivered in the community to children and youth. We have an indoor classroom garden program. During COVID last spring, we launched windowsill gardens. We sent out curriculum and seed packages and had a couple hundred teachers and a few thousand students growing gardens from seed to plate at home. We have a large volunteer and education program, Ottawa Reads, and an assisted technology tutoring program. We are a main facilitator and partner in Project STEP for Youth in Schools Community Coalition. We have counselors at all of the high schools across the city of Ottawa to support kids and their parents with problematic substance and technology youth. Tonight we're here to support JA Ottawa, Junior Achievement, and I imagine some of you know Albert Wong. Albert is the rock star of our JA program that teaches financial literacy, career readiness, and entrepreneurship skills. All of these programs that I've mentioned have been vital and run during COVID. Every year, we need to raise at least $1 million to do what we do, recruit, train, and place 3,000 volunteers to support our work. And by being here today, you are supporting this important work. JA, interestingly enough, is one of our toughest programs to fundraise for, but I can tell you that the impact is far-reaching. And I know tonight there are a lot of JA mentors and volunteers in the room, and we thank you for that continued support. Together, we are building the entrepreneurs, the scientists, the teachers, and philanthropists of our future. So I do want to thank you for your support this evening. Thank you for joining us. I want to take this opportunity to thank Overflow Brewery, to thank Ben Scholte, thank Jason Daley, and our exceptional panel for joining us, for creating and supporting this event, and partnering with the Ottawa Network for Education and JA Ottawa. So thank you very much. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the moderator for today's fireside panel, Jason Daley. Jason is a venture catalyst, an entrepreneur, a startup advisor, a community builder, early stage investor. This is quintessentially Jason. He was the former community lead youth ambassador for Startup Ottawa and is an advisory board member for Junior Achievement Ottawa. He is also part of the Canadian team for Consilience Ventures and VP of Carleton University's Alumni Association, where he mentors young entrepreneurs at the Innovation Lab. So please join me in welcoming Jason, who will moderate this fantastic panel. Thank you.
Good job. Yes. Thanks for your attention, everybody, and to our panel. So, all right, breathe in. Appreciate that, because after 2 years with the pandemic, not everyone had that benefit. So, and we are now coming back as a community so that we can celebrate what is our futures. Because let's be honest, was it easy for everyone? Put up your hand if it was easy. I don't see that in the room. If it was hard, put up your hand. Yeah, you're all in this together. That's what a community does. Talk to the person beside you, like Twan, who's a man who's got connections, and he's smiling here, all right? He's doing that distracted because he's a buddy. So do that because the person next to you is going to be some of your next relationships. They're going to help you move your business forward. We're all about advancing our collective mutual benefit. And what we've done today is bring, during International Women's Week, month, decade, we brought a panel of phenomenal women, entrepreneurs. They're going to tell their stories about how they've been impacted, how they see the future going forward in their businesses. So this is a fantastic conversation I'm going to help facilitate. So without more ado, I'm going to introduce from the outside in, all right? So I haven't happened to meet you before doing our first preliminary conversations, and you wowed the pants off me what you do for your business, okay? So this is Sharon, and thank you for helping me with your last surname, Nyangweso.
Oh, there we go.
How did I do? How did I do?
A round of applause. He did it. He didn't throw up on stage. He didn't cry.
Yeah, did I get it?
Beautiful.
Under immense pressure and lights, yes. So she's the CEO of QuakeLab, a full stack inclusion agency that uses design thinking to move commitments to equity from aspiration to action. Sharon is an immigrant from Kenya and has worked with organizations in 11 countries, varying roles including social advocacy and innovation and community building. Excellent, thank you and welcome.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't write that and just say that he's just said these lovely things about me without my, wow. How did you
make
know?
a fantastic first impression, no matter, always, I'm sure. Well, fantastic. So next up to her left is Kamal Dhanoa. We've had coffee recently during the pandemic, and we really talked about how businesses need to be promoted, and one of your key projects was highlighting the need to elevate Ottawa businesses, and you just put it out there, offered it up as a community spirit. So I'm going to talk about not only your good works, but what you've been doing. Entrepreneur with expertise in biz dev, sales, marketing, 20 years diverse industry experience, led market research projects for global Fortune 500s, co-managed Edmonton's Innovation Research Park Accelerator Program, former board of director of economic development officer at the World Trade Center, Edmonton. Today, she lends her expertise to new venture startups. So welcome to our panel. And a friend, I've enjoyed Christmas parties with you, and it's awesome to have you all here, Shannon. Been all over the world recently, all over the States promoting your business, FanSaves. So currently growing team at FanSaves, one of our sponsors today, co-founder and CEO, being an entrepreneur at heart, Sharon's strong social skills and positive attitude has always been a winning formula for success. Truth. Matching her skills in sponsorship, sales, marketing, advertising with love of entrepreneurship helped her co-found FanSaves in 2017. Shannon is a 2021 Young Leaders of America's Initiative Fellow and is also co-host of the Startup podcast. Welcome to our panel.
Thanks, Jason.
You're very welcome. And last but not least, and it's so nice to have you right besides, Suzanne and I have been friends for a very long time, from back to the origination of the startup communities, the Startup Canada. And you have a really cool new role, but you're always elevating the needs of community, and you put it right there in your heart and push it forward. And so what can I say? So your new role is with the Capital Angel Network. I'm the executive director, and you connect bold entrepreneurs with smart investors. That is so real. That's a phenomenal job, I know so. She's a fierce advocate for underestimated and the finance inequity. And further to that, I have some other speaking notes, but I wouldn't sound to say that I'm really passionate about her work. I put up my hand. One of the programs is called the Level Up, and that's for entrepreneurs and those starting out in careers that have inequity in their access to job markets, and really giving them the network relationship to those that are in those roles. So that's something you founded. And she's advisory chair for youth group principal at Steam Suite. During the pandemic, Suzanne channeled her mastery of reinvention into the Level Up program, which I mentioned. Program supporting over 200 newcomers transitioning, upscaling in the tech field. So please join our panel, and thank you, welcome.
So great to be here.
So where do we go from here? Okay, so panel, we have to start engaging on the conversation about what has been your last 2 years. So if you can offer up an anecdotal, I'll start off with this. Is there one word that describes your whole pandemic that helps situate? Is there anything for you, Suzanne?
I've got two.
Yeah?
It's called hustle slow.
Hustle slow. See nods? Yes, I agree. Shannon?
That's a hard one to follow. I was just going to be a little more generic and say resilience and perseverance.
So Phenomenal. Let's go with 2 words if you have it then. Fantastic, Shannon.
I would have to say it really brought in the passion for the greater good for me. And I would just like to get the whole room, put those peace signs up. Let's support peace around the world, Ukraine, everyone.
Lest we forget. I'm just gonna go ahead and be real and say my 2 words are sweatpants and chaos.
Yes, yes. All right, back to the audience. Anyone want to quickly put up their hand? One word that described your pandemic. Be real if you like to share it. James, how about you? Busy. You built a new business. Woo. Yes? Anyone here built a new business while they're in the pandemic? Hands up. Look at those people that built a new business. That man in the back of the mesh built a new cool innovation business. So it was a time for reflection, resilience. For me, it was time for focus on family and to reassess what I wanted to prioritize. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone here also that didn't build a new business helped another business get out of a trouble spot? Yeah? Fantastic. You know, kudos to you when you're thinking about others in the time of need. And thanks for bringing up, so you came about Ukraine. So there's a lot to be thankful for, that their lives have been upended from a geopolitical that is really out of their realm. So I had a couple questions I wanted to bring out. So from our chat before, we had thought that maybe we should talk a little bit about how the mental health that you might have experienced as an entrepreneur going through this pandemic, the ups and downs. So maybe I could go back to you, Sharon. How have you managed for you and your team? If you can comment, would you share?
I feel like you're asking me this first because I said chaos. I promise I'm okay.
Awesome.
The sweatpants and the chaos was good. So I have an interesting team in that we've never been in person. We've always been remote. Some of my team I've never met. I was just joking with someone that we're going to be meeting this May, and I'm truly terrified that I've hired like people who are 6 foot tall, and I'm going to be here wobbling over, and they're going to be, towering over me. But in terms of mental health, we as a team weren't just going through a pandemic. We talk about it in 2 ways. We talk about external factors and internal factors. We weren't going through a pandemic, global uprisings, all of the things. We were also internally, we work within the confines of subject matter that is heavy for all of us. And so we need to be ready for the storm when it comes to mental illness, both because of what is happening in the world and internally. And what that looked like, honestly, was I was doubtful of it even when we began the business, but understanding that my business is not the center of my world and is not the center of the world of the people who work with me. Right. It is a means to an end. It can be an excellent means to an end, but it is still a means to an end. So if there's ever a point where myself or my team, we felt like this was becoming the most important part of our lives, even if it was turning into some great stuff, more business, cooler services and products, that was also an indicator that everyone needed to step back, because there were a lot of entrepreneurial hands that came up in the air. You know what it's like to go in the deep end and you only come up for air when you think you've built something worth coming up for air. Except the thing is, what you left down there was a lot of yourself. And I never want to be responsible for drowning myself or drowning anyone else. So yeah, it's been a rough 2 years, but we haven't come out of it unscathed, but I think we've come out of it with some really great lessons.
Oh, fantastic sharing. Does anyone else from the panel want to feed into that conversation about your experience on that topic?
Sure, I can go next. For the entrepreneurs in the house, you know how, in tech or whatever business you might have, right? It's always fluid. You're always sort of evolving on the day-to-day situation. But I think for myself, previous to the pandemic, I was actually working on a business development opportunity with a business. And of course, they got impacted. So we had to actually shut down that opportunity. And so I said, okay, well, I can sort of watch the clouds roll by or actually, do something good for the community. And so PopTicker kind of formed as just a, helping out local businesses, because I said, what can I offer, right? And with my skills being in business dev and marketing and sales, I said, let me build something that's going to help out. So, from there, it was just, the stuff that I saw, right? Businesses on their last thread sending messages of, gosh, Cami, I don't know if I can survive another day. Those are the sort of, heartfelt, pulls on your, your emotions and why it's so important to really be that passion for the greater good and think bigger, right? How you can make an impact more now in the last few years than ever. So I think really, Jason, it was just that struggle that, I saw firsthand from local businesses that really hurt.
And you took action and you gave back immediately. That speaks a lot.
Thank you.
How about you, Suzanne? You could develop Steam Suite and Level Up in the same time period.
I want to go back to why I chose the words hustle slow. As we've all been on this crazy roller coaster that was just kind of pushed together, according together, we had to hustle to stay alive, like economically, whatever we were doing, wherever you are. Or if you had security, you were probably working 3 times as hard. And at the same time, the slow piece was about being available. Starting meetings with like, how are you doing? Making phone calls to friends that were just like long conversations on a Friday night, and being available to listen and hear where people were at and how they were doing. Myself, I had a lot of family turmoil and illness during the time, a lot of grieving that I'm going through. And at the same time, I think as a community, everybody's kind of in very similar positions. So as we move forward and we think about, okay, now things are changing very quickly all over again, we have to get back to hustle, but we can't lose the slow because we're all grieving. And I think we just need to have this massive size heart. And also our world is full of a lot of divisive messages, and we need to grow up and be mature and take a moment to listen. We need to listen to each other with heart, whether or not the world around us agrees. It's my lecture.
Fantastic share. Thank you. Well said. Well said. Shannon, if you had to add, I had some questions to come to you, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with everyone, and it's cool when you, Jason, say like everyone was in this together, because I think, especially entrepreneurs, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking back to exactly 2 years ago, like on this date, and for us at FanSaves, we realized that like the pandemic was real when the NBA shut down. Like, we're a sports tech startup, and when the NBA shut down, we were like, oh shit, this is real, and what do we do? And we, took a couple days, and we were like really bored, and within 10 days, we had decided to like create our FanSaves Helps gift certificate program, and that we ended up working with over 600 businesses and 60 communities and generating all this money for them through gift certificates. And we were so busy. Like, I remember everyone was like, oh, I'm like on Netflix all the time. And I was like, I'm working like 12-hour days. What is going on? So for us, keeping busy, I think, was our way to deal with it. Like, it was our way to get through it. It was just like, throw yourself into work and help other people. And let's hope this passes soon, which it didn't, but it helped us.
It's time for creative solutions, right? Nothing like a calamity to help you think through it, the other side. So one of my questions based on our conversation before was come through the other side is, where was the shift in your business? And to offer one for me, a US government procurement got delayed by 2 years, which Suzanne reminded me, this is the 2nd year anniversary of when the pandemic shutdown started in Canada. Oh, sigh of relief, anyone? Man, that's a long time to be on pause. And that happened to my business. I had to take myself off a salary and to increase the burn rate, because that's what the reality was. Owners will do that, right? Owners will do that. So what, as owners, shifted in your business that you had to do to meet the reality of where you're at?
Can you say everything?
Everything, of course you can. But be specific.
I think for me, it was coming to terms with the fact that this wasn't just a moment for me to keep doing what I was doing to get, bring people on and keep doing what I was doing, but be really intentional about the world I wanted to see on the other side of it and what part my business could play in it. And I think that is something that could be an interesting sort of nugget for thought for anyone, including anyone who's not an entrepreneur. This idea of when I get on the other side of a crisis, when I get on the other side of a storm, what do I want the other side to look like? We've heard a lot of conversation about, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, when we get back to normal, when things go back to normal. But then there's this feeling of, well, how well did normal work for me? And more so, how did normal work well for everyone else? And where is this an opportunity for me to radically shift how I think about the world and how I think about business? So even one of the things that we started doing was thinking about just how we support the people who are going to be in our ecosystem. I'm gonna shout out to a lovely Maria in the audience right there. Maria. She is. This feels so adult for me to say. She is my lawyer, but she is. So if you try and sue me, no, she only does employment. I don't know if she can help me if you sue me, but the big shift I can remember is actually having a conversation with Maria. Because in the beginning of the business, we worked with contractors. I didn't have any employees. I wasn't even an employee. But the thing we kept hearing more and more is that in this moment of the pandemic, contractors were struggling because there was no fallback plan. You're working hourly, you have no benefits like everyone else. You're not chilling at home watching Netflix. You're struggling. You're trying to figure out where your next check is coming from. And we figured, okay, so we're not in a state to give employment yet, but how can we provide benefits? Basically, literally, we were just like, how can we provide things like give them the money to go to therapy? Because everyone should be in therapy. Get a goddamn massage. I don't know, whatever you need. And we were like, let's figure it out. Soon we realized there was some legal implications. And we messaged Maria and we're like, how can you help us do this? And she hopped on a call right away with us and she said, listen, I just really wanted to meet you because most of the businesses I meet are trying to figure out how to not give people benefits. And so I just wanted to see who you are. Right. And that's, I think, those big shifts was figuring out what has never been working, but it's just very loud in the pandemic. And how do we take those over to the end of this or whatever end looks like?
So, Cam, would you say anything shifted in your responsibility as an owner because of the pandemic? There's something significant you could share?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the pandemic really taught, how to be super connected with your local community and how to be even more I couldn't even imagine being agile already as an entrepreneur. I mean, it's part of your DNA, but you had to be, super amplified, fluid and responsive to the day-to-day, right? Before Omicron, we thought it was done. We thought, all right, we're out, we're gonna party, right? We're back, we're gonna travel and all that stuff. And then here we go again, right? So I think it really taught us to really, how can we do better for the community? How can we lead with impact and inclusion? And I know you do a lot of work in equity, diversity, and inclusion, and that's a really important part. And one last thing I want to mention about that is, we talk about the secret sauce, whether it's IP or whether it's, whatever product you're building. But I would suggest, part of your secret sauce should be leading with impact and inclusion and passion for the greater good. That's you can live in that intersect and be successful.
Agreed. Shannon, you have a unique perspective. You have a cross-border business. And so you get to see that we're, as Canadians, always looking at the United States saying, hell, what are you doing up there in Canada? You're like the most restricted country in the world. What was your experience about your shift of responsibility when you're operating in the States and then also in Canada?
I mean, it was kind of surreal sometimes, especially a little bit like we were envious as we were talking to, our partners in the US, and they're like, yeah, we're all just out here. No one's wearing masks. And we're like, okay. But I want to kind of talk about the shift. When we realized there was a shift was, at the beginning of March 2020, we were actually about to get office space with Invest Ottawa. We were about to start in April. We were so excited. We were like, we're going to get an office and we're going to have space and we're going to grow our team there. And something that COVID completely changed is that we're completely remote. We have 11 staff completely around North America now, and some contractors in the US. So even dealing with them and also seeing how we've been able to attract talent from all over is something I think before COVID we didn't even expect. And now like the pool is just wide open and we have the best talent coming to us from anywhere because they can work from anywhere. So something that I didn't expect.
That's amazing to have that positive backflow to your business as a result. That's phenomenal. I wouldn't mind asking you if you could share, there's a comment that I struck in our notes that I thought was really interesting, and it's a bit obscure, but I'll say it. It's about insecurity, inequality. What was your experience in business that maybe you can elaborate? Maybe it reflects on why you created the programs you created.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I think I reinvented myself 4 times in the last 2 years. I had been volunteering at Canadian Advanced Technology Alliance on the diversity file. I had a really cool project we're working on. I was there for 10 days and the CEO passed away. This is pre-COVID. The CEO just passed away and there was really no sustainability built into the organization. So I said, okay, I'll try. I think it's important that there's representation, there's some kind of center for the tech community across the country. There really wasn't a model there. There was kind of a one-man show, a really strong advocacy leader, and that I was not that. So I stepped in, and then a few months, there was like 3 months runway there. We were stretching it out, trying to find our way, and then COVID hit, and then so it was folding. So I made a choice. Do I stay on and do something productive? Because I'm not going to find a job at the beginning of COVID. And then I had entrepreneurs around, tech entrepreneurs that came to me and said, okay, our R&D tax credits, it's frozen. All the payments are frozen. Right. It's $200 million just stalled. And we're coming to you because like Kata is the expert in shred. I'm like, okay. So fortunately, there were other volunteers there who knew how the government worked. And so I just dove in as a complete blind to anything government. I'm pure entrepreneur. And we set up 7 meetings with members of parliament and cabinet ministers. And in 3 weeks, we got $200 million unlocked and out to entrepreneurs. And so I'm sure we saved some businesses.
Phenomenal.
So I'm just going to leave it there because I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. Can you imagine that? You're having to look at your whole future plans for the next 1 or 2 years, all dependent on the capital financing of government, very sure, backed by banks, and they say no funds flowing. That you solved that problem in a matter of 3 weeks in 7 meetings.
So CRA went remote and they had no tech to go remote. So all the funding froze at the same time as people's revenues froze. So so it was a big deal. I learned a lot. It was crazy hectic. One thing that worked for me, I just went, this is kind of political, so don't tell anybody. I said, okay, who is the journalist who has been hardest on the government? Okay, I want to talk to him. That's my goal. He's my guy. Yeah, and he's now the chief editor of the Financial Post or something like that. He's an awesome human. He's the guy that I want to write our story. And it happened that just by being out there and in the community, that an entrepreneur from Ottawa, in my conversations and setting up these minister meetings, he said, oh yeah, that guy's my best friend. So I have nothing, I know nothing about advocacy, but this really influential guy wrote us up as, there's all kinds of lobbyists out there, but maybe Grant has the best idea. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Phenomenal.
That was fun.
That was a phenomenal give back, because this is maybe the last question as a panel. And then we're going to go to Q&A. Are you helping us, Albert, with that? Fantastic. So that was a massive give back to help unlock Shred. That's some big lift. So my last question to everyone is to just go quickly. What has been some of your give back? Because that's one of the reasons we identified you as an entrepreneur, to be on the stage to share that you found in your heart and passion to give back to your community. And would you have anything more you want to share? Because I'm going to go next to next, because you did.
My biggest give back really was Level Up. And again, it was another program that lost its funding during COVID. And I said, I'm going to do it anyway because it matters. And so the first round was new Canadian women in technology who in Ottawa their unemployment rate's 30%. A lot of them are refugees. They have incredible resilient stories, master's degrees, so accomplished, and they put their CV in and they're like nobody. They're unseen. They're invisible. So I found some just brilliant, amazing volunteer ambassadors, and we worked with these women, and some of them now are like software engineers at the highest, the fastest scaling companies in Ottawa.
Yes, yes.
You know, new Canadians, like, take the time to listen. Please take the time to listen.
You gave them pathway forward. So if there's anyone who's a professional looking at provide on-ramps for new Canadians, please come find Suzanne after, because Level Up is looking for more mentors.
Yeah.
I've done so, and it's been a great experience.
You're awesome.
Shannon, you also had an awesome give back. Please, a little description as what you did.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, to be completely honest, when we started the FanSaves Helps Gift Certificate program, it wasn't completely altruistic. Our idea behind it as marketing professionals, we were like, how do we stay relevant and keep our brand in people's minds and in their mouths during this time? Because we know that there's no other, the way that we usually do it isn't gonna work. So we were like, okay, let's, as part of that, give back. So in giving back and in generating all this money for small businesses, it organically became altruistic, where we were like, wow, this actually feels really good to, it feels good to get the brand awareness and stuff. But the big side was kind of like what Cami was saying, where you're talking to business owners who are like, you just helped me pay my rent for the month. And you're like, oh my God. And I talk to business owners and they're crying on the phone. And those moments are things that I'm always going to remember. And I'm just so proud that, it ended up that we could help and could give back in a time when we easily could have just turned over and said, well, our business, we're just going to take a break and, not do anything. We decided to do something, and it ended up being good for everyone.
Oh, fantastic. So we haven't heard from Sharon in a while, and then we'll leave with you, Cami, because you have one that could be relevant to everybody. So quick word to anyone in the audience. Think of your question, because there's always that odd pause, like, oh, I don't have a question. Think of it now. We'll be asking you in a moment. So how about your give back, Sharon?
Ours was pretty quick and dirty.
Yeah.
We made a commitment to give a percentage away of our profits every year. And one of the ways we did that was I went on Twitter and I said, hey, does anyone want money? And we had $10,000 and we gave it away. Literally,
Amazing.
we just said, do you need help with rent? Do you need to buy your kid a thing? Do you just need some cash in your pocket? No sob stories, just do you need cash? Because we're in a goddamn pandemic. And then we gave 10K away.
Wow, good fortune shared. Thank you for sharing that. Amazing. Hey, Cami, how about yourself?
Yes, it was, again, it ended up being a great opportunity. For myself, I was always, working with startups and trying to build and found companies. But this opportunity allowed me to give back. I mean, we were able to advertise and provide free marketing for over 1,000 local businesses. I think we got close to 500,000 views on the Support Local Canada Challenge that I would have never thought in my life. So growing up, I was a big fan of Biff Naked, the queen of punk pop. And seriously, something that just started, I want to help out. And then I'm on CTV News with Biff Naked. And then, Kevin Hearn from the Bare Naked Ladies gets involved, Haley Wickenheiser, oh my gosh, Meister Fresh West, so many people got involved. And so it was really nice, because I am telling you, the sweetest moment was that day I opened up that tweet, and it was a small chocolate company somewhere in the outskirts of Ontario that said, holy cow, and I think that's what she said, Rick Campanelli shouted our chocolate shop. There's this really cool movement by Pop Ticker. It's a Support Local Canada Challenge. I can't believe it. That pulled on my heartstrings, and that's what made it worthwhile. And lastly, I'm really proud to say we were able to launch an app. We're just doing a hard launch soon, but that's going to be a free app where local businesses could advertise and get their shops out to the neighbors.
Amazing. Thank you.
Big hearts.
So you could do well by doing good. This is so evident. So I'm going to take this moment to say, can I have a round of applause to say thank you for our panelists today?
And for Jason.
Thank you. Not necessary. I'm happy to do it. I understand, Albert, are you going to grab this microphone or is there one to move around? Awesome. So you know that moment I said there's going to be a question? Here it is. Is anyone looking to have some insight shared or some feedback from our panelists, please?
Come on up. You guys are amazing, by the way. Fantastic.
Thank you, Albert.
Yep. Any questions at all?
At the back, yes.
At the back?
We see that.
Could you come up to the front?
Come ahead. Sorry, I didn't know that it was at the front. We're hardwired here, not mobile. And I'll take the moment to say thank you for Overflow and their staff for being so consistent and constant.
Amazing.
Thank you. To our sponsors as well. You've been seeing their names on the side. There, we also have a virtual happening right now. So hopefully they can hear and partake for courtesy of eSAX. And please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for the amazing event and for the panel. And I just have a question. I'm also an entrepreneur. And I know it's hard for us as a female entrepreneur. And I would like to ask you guys, how do you guys, because with family and, and business, how do you balance work life in your business? Yeah.
What's that?
Balance in your
Balance between your work.
What is that? I don't. I fail.
What is balance is the answer, right, Suzanne? Yeah, I think we understand.
That's what the
I'm
answer.
not a good example. Cammy's got
Anyone?
family.
I don't know if I'm a good example. No, I think we were going back and forth on LinkedIn and martial arts came up. Okay. So I'm not saying everybody in the room, do martial arts, but whatever it is in life, I feel like that trifecta of body, mind, and soul is key. You got to nurture that, right? So whether you take 20 minutes, an hour, you're doing yoga, you're doing jiu-jitsu, that's my sport. Whatever it is, take that time. And really, I think for me, what happened, which was amazing as I grew older and wiser, is almost like an athlete. You get to know your optimal peak and when you're at the limit, you can recognize it and when to kind of get your full 8 hours the next day, right? And I think that comes as you're older and you're really tuned into your body, but it is hard. I don't know what the perfect answer is, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just say, first of all, we're now going to start an entrepreneurship fight club. Thank you. Also,
Entrepreneurship Fight Club. I thought you're not supposed to talk about it.
don't worry about it. Don't worry. If I can quickly just say, also, first of all, your dress is everything. Second of all, I think balance is nonsense. We don't balance anything else in our lives, right? And so I think just pick and choose. In this very moment, what is the thing that's going to get 60% and what's getting 40, and it'll change regularly, and that's fine. And if there's anyone in your life who makes you feel like shit about it, then maybe they have a solution that you don't have, but that's a them problem. And show up how you need to show up all of the time. But also, if showing up how you need to show up all of the time is at 20%, that's fine too. You will still get it done. Who you are at your just core doesn't change from, meeting to meeting. It just means, this is what I can bring to the table today, and that's fine.
Well said.
Awesome.
Well said.
Thank you.
I would say too, so my co-founder, Chris, he's here. Shout out, Chris. He's also my life partner. So we don't talk about work-life balance. We call it work-life integration. And there are times when we literally can spend 24 hours talking about the business, and we'll spend the next 24 hours traveling for business, but doing something fun while we're there. So, work-life balance I don't know if there's balance for us. We just find a way to really just intertwine work into everything we do, and it makes it really fun that way. And that's, I think, why we love what we do so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Albert, I have a question about Junior Achievement, the needs of Junior Achievement. If you can, if you have another question? If not, I'm going to ask a question, Albert. What are the needs of Junior Achievement and how this room can get behind it? Because it's all about supporting our next generation.
Wow, thank you so much, Jason, and thank you to the panel. Great insights.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah. Well, JA, we essentially, our two main needs are volunteers and mentors to help bring the next generation that business spirit and experience, as well as a charity, we need to raise funds so that we can continue to deliver these programs to schools at no cost. That's our business model. So we're certainly looking for funding from foundations, from corporate sponsors, and from individuals as well. And I see a lot of great people in the room that have been very generous over the past. And certainly those are these.
Yeah.
We have time for one more question.
Yeah, I think we do.
Okay, we have one more question left, guys. Who would like to ask our brilliant panel?
It's not about this though. I didn't know Maestro Fresh West was still a thing. What was it like meeting him? I'm a giant fan from the 90s.
I love Maestro. So we actually never met in person, but he basically is supporting Pop Ticker. He follows us on Instagram, and he autographed an amazing book that he wrote for children, which I absolutely love, because again, for him, it was about stick to your vision. That's his thing, right? Because growing up, he loved music. He wanted to do hip hop, and he wrote a book to inspire the younger generation and the kids. But I'm so glad you're an old school fan. Props.
That's amazing what you guys did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Good to see you.
Thanks, John. So, all right, I know everyone wants to get back to networking, so we're going to pretty much leave it at that. Just a reminder, this is a donation type event. It came into your ticket, but you can also contribute. There's QR codes. Also, go back to the registration so that we can benefit our next gen. And I think if I could just ask for one more applause for our panel, and come talk to them afterwards, please. Thank you.
It's
All right.
so nice not to be looking at you all on Zoom.
Yay, yes. No more Zoom fatigue, please. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let's enjoy our evening. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.